Welcome to Basketball U. If you're new to Basketball U, make sure you slam dunk that subscribe button. And just to make sure you don't miss a thing, make sure you tap that notification bell right after you hit that subscribe button. Welcome back. We are happy to have you here with us for another installment of Role Players. Remember, just hit that like button and enjoy all the information you're about to get about today's role player. In today's game is about how many points you can score and how good are you on offense. Offense is all we hear about. What about defense? Can you make it to college or even the NBA playing defense? Or even better question to ask, can you be an important player on your team by just playing defense? This player made a huge impact on his team and left his presence on the NBA during his time of defensive dominance. NBA champion, 4-time NBA All-Star, and of course, a 4-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. And let's not forget to mention, he was a NCAA Division II All-American, so his path was very different as he didn't get the national recognition that NCAA Division I players get all year long. Basketball U family, we'd like to present Ben Wallace. Wallace was born in Whitehall, Alabama, a small town in Lowndes County, and is the 10th of 11 children. He later attended Central High School in Hayneville, where he received all-state honors in basketball, baseball, and football as a linebacker. Former NBA player Charles Oakley is Wallace's mentor, having discovered Wallace at a 1991 basketball camp and later recommended Wallace to his previous college, Virginia Union. Wallace first played college basketball on the junior college level at Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland for 2 years. There, staples of Wallace's defense prowess were shown as he averaged 17 rebounds and 6.9 blocks per game. He then transferred to Virginia Union, an NCAA Division II school where he studied criminal justice. Wallace averaged 13.4 points per game and 10 rebounds per game as a member of the Virginia Union Panthers, whom he led to the Division II Final Four in a 28-win, 3-loss record. As a senior, Wallace was named to the first team All-CIAA and was selected as a first-team Division II All-American by the NABC. After leaving Virginia Union and going undrafted, he traveled to Italy for a tryout with the Italian team Viola Reggio Calabria. Wallace appeared in only 34 games for Washington in the 1996-97 season and did not play many minutes. The following year, he appeared in 67 games and started in 16, but did not average many points with 3.1 or rebounds with 4.8. He did manage to average 1.1 blocks throughout the season, however, and his defense play solidified his identity and his minutes increased significantly in the lockout-shortened 1998-99 season, as he started in 16 of 46 games and averaged 6 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. Washington was unable to make the playoffs for 3 straight years. On August 11, 1999, Wallace was traded to the Orlando Magic in a multiplayer deal for Isaac Austin. In the 1999-2000 season, he solidified his role as a starter, started in all 81 games that he appeared in. He averaged 4.8 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks for the Magic as they won 41 games. However, the Magic failed to make the playoffs, and following that season, the Magic traded Wallace along with Chucky Atkins to the Detroit Pistons as compensation in a sign and trade deal for superstar forward and free agent Grant Hill. The trade for Grant Hill was considered one-sided, but in the 2000-2001 season, Wallace had his most productive season yet, averaging 6.4 points per game while placing second in rebounds with 13.2 per game and 10th in blocks per game with 2.3. But the Pistons could not make the playoffs. The 2001-02 season would be even better for Wallace, as he averaged his most points per game for a season yet with 7.6 points, while leading the league in rebounding with 13 per game and shot blocking with 3.5. His strong defensive play earned him the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award, while also being named to the All-Defensive First Team and the All-NBA Third Team. The Pistons won 50 games in the Central Division and would defeat the Toronto Raptors in the first round of the playoffs before falling to the Paul Pierce-led Boston Celtics in the conference semifinals. Wallace opened the playoffs with a 19-point, 20-rebound effort against Toronto, and he managed to grab 20 or more rebounds 2 more times in 10 total playoff games, his first experience in the playoffs. The 2002-03 season would result in another Defensive Player of the Year award for Wallace, as well as another selection to the All-Defensive Team, along with being named to the All-NBA Second Team, as he increased his rebounding to 15.4 per game. The Pistons won 50 games and the Central Division again, and defeated Orlando in a grueling 7-game first-round series that included coming back from a 3-1 deficit. Detroit would go on to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games, but the Pistons were swept by the defending Eastern Conference champion New Jersey Nets in the conference finals. Wallace increased his rebounding to 16.3 per game in the playoffs and reached 20 or more rebounds 4 times. The 2003-04 season saw Wallace continue to rank among the league leaders in rebounding with 12.4 per game and blocks with 3.2 per game. Despite losing out on a third straight Defensive Player of the Year award to Ron Artest, Wallace increased his scoring average to 9.5 points per game and was named again to the All-Defensive First Team and the All-NBA Second Team. The season also featured new head coach Larry Brown, and he would lead the Pistons to 54 wins for the season, which included a late season acquisition of star power forward Rasheed Wallace to further improve the team's defense and scoring. In the playoffs, the Pistons handily defeated the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games in the first round before facing New Jersey for the second straight year. Despite taking a 2-game lead to open the series, the Nets would put up a fight against the Pistons to win 3 straight games, and the Pistons responded with an 81-75 road win in New Jersey, in which Wallace grabbed 20 rebounds, before wrapping up the series with a 90-69 Game 7 win. The Pistons would then face the Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest-led league-leading Indiana Pacers, and the two teams traded wins in the first 4 games. Detroit's defense and resilience would prove too much for the Pacers, and the Pistons won the series in 6 games to advance the finals win, with Wallace scoring 12 points and grabbing 16 rebounds in the closing game of the series. Detroit had not reached the finals since 1990. The Pistons dominated in Game 1 with an 87-75 win in Los Angeles against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers would respond in Game 2 with late-game heroics by team leaders Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal before the series moved to Detroit. But the combined defensive effort and near-perfect offensive execution at home brought the Pistons an 88-68 win in Game 3. The Lakers were unable to respond in Game 4 as the Pistons held their own and continued to dominate on defense and rebounding to beat the Lakers 88-80. Los Angeles needed 1 win to return the series to their home court, but the Pistons proved to be far too dominating again in Game 5 as Detroit won the game 100-87 to win the NBA championship, led by Wallace, who posted his best game of the series with 18 points and 22 rebounds. It will be the 3rd NBA title for the franchise and its first since 1990. Wallace held his own against the likes of Indiana's Jermaine O'Neal and then Shaquille O'Neal in the finals, posting averages of 10.3 points per game with 14.3 rebounds and 2.4 blocks. In the 2003-04 season and 2004 playoffs, Wallace posted individual defensive ratings of 87 and 84, respectively. Among players with a comparable number of games and minutes played, both of these marks are the lowest individual defensive ratings posted in the regular season or playoffs. The Pistons also began a tradition of sounding a deep chime whenever Big Ben scored or recorded a block on Detroit's home court, the Palace of Auburn Hills, an allusion to the original Big Ben in London. The defending champions look forward to defending their title in the 2004-05 season, but in the season would take a sudden turn near the end of a November game against the Indiana Pacers, in which Wallace and Ron Artest sparred with each other before the infamous Pacers-Pistons brawl involving both players and spectators took place. Wallace was suspended for 6 games, and his brother David Wallace received a year of probation and community service for punching Indiana players in the stands. Wallace continued to dominate on defense with 2.4 blocks per game and rebounding with 12.2 per game, and increased his scoring production on his way to winning another Defensive Player of the Year award, along with yet another selection to the All-Defensive First Team and the All-NBA Third Team. In the playoffs, the Pistons dominated the Philadelphia 76ers before defeating their rival Pacers in the semifinals in 6 games. The conference finals will feature a matchup with the resurgent Miami Heat, who had acquired Shaquille O'Neal from the Lakers and were led in scoring by Dwayne Wade. The teams traded victories before Miami won Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead, but the Pistons responded and took advantage of an injury to Wade in Game 6 before grinding out a difficult 88-82 Game 7 win on the road in Miami to advance to their second straight finals. Wallace once again held his own against O'Neal throughout the series. That time in the finals, Detroit will face the San Antonio Spurs, led by superstars Tim Duncan and international players such as Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. The Spurs won the first 2 games at home before the Pistons matched them with 2 wins in Detroit, setting up a crucial Game 5, in which San Antonio managed a 1-point victory. Detroit will respond with a win on the road in Game 6, but had no answer for Duncan and the Spurs' attack, and lost the series in Game 7. Wallace averaged 10 points and 11.3 rebounds throughout the 2005 playoffs. Despite the disappointing finals loss, the Pistons returned with a vengeance in the 2005-06 season, with Wallace winning another consecutive Defensive Player of the Year award, a 5th straight selection to the All-Defensive First Team, and another selection to the All-NBA Third Team. He was named an All-Star for the 4th straight season and led the league in total offensive rebounds with 301. Detroit was dominant throughout the season, winning 64 games and earning the top seed in the conference. The playoffs featured a dominating win over Milwaukee in the first round, followed by a grueling 7-game series win against the young Cleveland Cavaliers, led by All-Star forward LeBron James. This set up a conference finals rematch with Miami, who had retooled their roster in the offseason. The Pistons struggled throughout the series with the impressive play of Dwayne Wade, who dominated offensively on the way to a 4-2 victory. Miami would go on to win that year's NBA title. Wallace's production fell significantly as compared to the previous seasons in the playoffs, as he only averaged 4.7 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, and just 1.2 blocks. In the offseason, he would test free agency and eventually signed with the younger Chicago Bulls, thereby ending an era of Detroit Pistons basketball which had relied on him as a defensive and rebounding anchor. In each of the 5 years that the Pistons made the playoffs with Wallace, Detroit allowed the fewest points per game out of all 16 playoff teams. That same year, Wallace had an altercation with Flip Saunders during Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals that drew him even further away from re-signing with the team by the controversial decision of benching him throughout the whole 4th quarter in that game. Without Wallace, the Pistons fell to 3rd in points per game allowed in the 2007-2008 playoffs. Wallace agreed to a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls coach Scott Skiles had a strict no headband policy, but decided to make an exception for Wallace when his teammates voted in favor of allowing him to keep the signature headband. Wallace continued to be relied upon as a defensive stopper and rebounder, as the Bulls already featured scoring from Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, and Luol Deng. While his overall averages decreased from previous years, he still managed to average double-figure rebounds with 10.7 per game and posted 2 blocks per game for the season. The Bulls won 49 games and entered the playoffs with a first-round matchup against the defending champion Miami Heat. The series would mark the 4th straight year that Wallace faced off with Shaquille O'Neal in the playoffs. And while the Heat were more experienced, they also had played an inconsistent regular season with Dwayne Wade missing games due to injury. The Bulls, on the other hand, were ready to take on the older Heat and shocked Miami with a 4-game sweep with an average win margin of 11 points. Wallace posted 13 points with 11 rebounds in the closeout game in Miami, and the Bulls advanced to face his former Pistons team. Despite no longer featuring Wallace and being older, the Pistons dominated the first 3 games to take a 3-0 lead and eventually won the series. Wallace averaged 8.7 points with 9.5 rebounds in 10 playoff games. The Bulls looked to improve in the 2007-08 season, but started out with a disappointing 9-win, 16-loss start before Skiles was removed as a head coach. After 50 games, Wallace was dealt to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 3-team trade involving the Supersonics, in which the Cavaliers received Wallace, as well as Bulls teammate Joe Smith and Seattle's Wally Szczerbiak and Delonte West. The Bulls received Cavaliers' Shannon Brown, Larry Hughes, Cedric Simmons, and Drew Gooden, and the Sonics received Cleveland's Ira Newble and Danya Marshall and Chicago's Adrian Griffin. During his nearly 2-year run in Chicago, Wallace battled with various knee injuries and averaged 5.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 2 blocks per game. The Cavaliers already featured Zydrunas Ilgauskas as the team's starting center, so Coach Mike Brown moved Wallace to the power forward position. Wallace played in 22 regular season games and averaged 4.2 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks per game. Wallace had a Cavalier regular season high of 12 points on February 24, 2008 against the Memphis Grizzlies, and had a regular season Cavaliers high of 15 rebounds against the Charlotte Bobcats and 4 blocks against the Orlando Magic. In the playoffs, Wallace played in 13 games and started all 13 games and averaged 3.2 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks per game. He had his playoff high of 12 rebounds in a Game 4 win against the Washington Wizards in the first round of the playoffs as the Cavaliers swept the Wizards. The following series will be against the resurgent Boston Celtics. The series will go to 7 games, with the Celtics winning the final game at home and Wallace failing to register double-figure rebounds in the series. Even in limited minutes, Wallace had a significant impact on the Cavaliers' defense. Prior to Wallace's first game with the Cavaliers against the Memphis Grizzlies, Cleveland had allowed 98.2 points per game through 55 games. After acquiring Wallace, Cleveland's defense finished the season allowing 96.7 points per game, the 9th best mark in the league. In the 2008 playoffs, the Cavaliers' defense greatly improved, holding opponents to 87.8 points per game and posting a defensive rating of 102.1. The Cavaliers ranked first among all 16 teams in both defensive categories for the playoffs, ahead of even the Celtics, led by Kevin Garnett, the Defensive Player of the Year. On June 25, 2009, Wallace was traded to the Phoenix Suns with Sasha Pavlovich, a second-round draft pick, and $500,000 for Shaquille O'Neal. On July 13, 2009, the Suns bought out Wallace's $14 million contract, saving $8 million in the process. Wallace actually received $10 million, but Phoenix was in luxury tax, so the savings were effectively doubled. On August 7, 2009, Wallace agreed to re-sign with the Pistons as a free agent to a 1-year deal. He formerly wore jersey number 3 with the Pistons, but changed his jersey to number 6 upon his return, allowing Rodney Stuckley to keep that number. On July 11, 2010, Wallace agreed to a 2-year deal with the Pistons. On August 4, 2010, Wallace was re-signed by the Pistons. On November 30, 2010, in a 90-79 road loss to the Orlando Magic, Wallace surpassed the 10,000 rebound mark for his career, becoming the 34th player in NBA history to achieve that mark. On December 22nd, 2010, on a 115-93 road win over the Toronto Raptors, Wallace played his 1,000th game, becoming the 95th player in NBA history to achieve this record. On February 14, 2012, Wallace played his 1,055th game, surpassing the record held by Avery Johnson for most games by an undrafted player. On January 16, 2016, the Pistons retired Wallace's number 3 jersey. Defense is often overlooked, but is a pivotal piece to a team's success and adds grit and toughness to be able to achieve the ultimate goal of winning a championship. Ben Wallace is the prime example of hard work and defying what the definition of not only a role player but a leader is. Great to see him play a role in owning a G League team, which is helping the development of the upcoming younger players in the league. Ben Wallace, we thank you for teaching that there is more of an important role of the defensive mind players of the world. This is Basketball U. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, follow all of our social medias right there in the description to keep yourself up to date, as this channel will have a lot of basketball, a lot of players, and a lot of training and more information on how to play the game of basketball. Remember, someone's always working. Are you?